very good morning. You're watching Trading Hour on CNBC-TV18. I'm Ekta Batra, and with me today is Surbhi Upadhyay. And what a day to actually be
end the week.
A fabulous day. It seems as though the Diwali festive season has really come upon us with good cheer. So we have the Nifty, which is at 10,548. So we rallied past 550 on an intraday basis, but still very strong, up 167 points for the Nifty. For the Sensex, we're up over 500 odd points. Bank Nifty up around 1.4%, and mid-cap index, which has outperformed with a stark contrast as compared to the Nifty on a week-to-date basis, is rallying today as well. So that's up for you in terms of the statistics. The Nifty up 5.3%, the mid-cap index up 8.6%. And yes, a large part of this has been global cues, because MSCI Asia X Japan is up around 5.7% week-to-date as well. And not to forget that we've benefited from lower crude prices, and the rupee has been stronger. A lot of stocks to discuss over the next 1 hour. So we will be focusing on banks, on a lot of stocks which will be coming out with numbers today, such as Axis and PNB as well. Hi, Surbhi.
Hi, Ekta. Well, what a week. I mean, and what a Friday it's turning out to be, because we have swiftly left 10,000 and memories of 10,000 actually almost behind as well, with the kind of move the market is making. Of course, as Ekta also mentioned, global cues are helping. That decline in oil prices is helping. Actually, all of Asia is also very, very strong. So let's just pull up the Asian markets as well, with some sort of indication or hope that, you know, maybe China and the US could smoke the peace pipe on trade. That's the reaction you're getting in the neighborhood, and we are participating in that move. And the other good aspect about trade here today is that it's a very widespread rally across mid-caps, across the large-cap space. In fact, barring IT and pharma and some of the defensive names, the rest of the market is actually just taking off and taking away. That's the mid-cap index for you.
I just wanted to mention also two stocks, you know, just to get a sense in terms of the broader markets. PC Jewelers, that stock is up around 14% odd. And even something like a DB Realty. So you've got to be a little bit, you know, cautious in terms of the kind of stocks which are also going up at this point in time. The enthusiasm is across the stocks.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I could also add in an Infibeam. So yes, stocks across the board are going higher. Let's take this conversation forward. We have, I think, Abhishek joining in. We have a couple of important bank results also coming out today, Axis Bank being one of them. So we'll get to those numbers in a moment. But speaking of banks, largely speaking, the financial space is also quite resilient. The Nifty Bank itself, as we are speaking, is still up 360 odd points. And if you're talking about the big movers and shakers, then the rally on Yes Bank definitely stands out this morning. There's about a 4% up move going on over there. Kotak Mahindra Bank, some of the NBFCs like an Indiabulls Housing, some of these names are also fairly sort of upbeat at this moment. So we'll get started with a couple of those previews also in just a moment. We'll also get you a take on the markets. But as we gear up for that, here are some veteran voices coming in on the market as we are entering a new Samvat. Here are views from Ramesh, Damani and Akash Prakash.
I don't get bearish very easily. There was a problem in the market. I think the way the market responds in the last few days suggests it's fighting back. It's ignoring bad news. It's going up. 5 stocks in the A group have made a new high, which is something I take very seriously. A couple of stocks in B groups have climbed up to a new high. And there's probably extra amount of pessimism. I look at my individual companies, and I'm finding a lot of bargains in my portfolio. And I don't think bull markets top out like what happened in early October. I think this is a very serious correction in a bull market, but I think we'll go on to make new highs.
The perennial disappointment in the last 5 years for India has been earnings growth, in the sense that I think, as he showed in the chart himself, you've had like 3–4% earnings growth last 5 years. I think the phase of PE expansion, as Ramdev has shown, is over for India. The P's have expanded to a level where I don't think they can go up any further. Especially not in a world where liquidity is tightening, interest rates are going up. So I think the reality is the bet on India from here is a bet on earnings growth, plain and simple. If earnings growth don't come, the market's going down.
Okay, so that's some perspective, important fundamental perspective which is coming in. But the entire space which is really rallying ahead has to be what's happening with the financials. So case in point would be something like a Yes Bank. That stock is up 13% this month itself, and it's picked up pace today as well. In fact, it's up 18% this week. So do watch out for Yes Bank, up around 4.7%. And even something like an IndusInd, which has had a couple of sluggish days because of the uncertainty with regards to exposure to IL&FS, that stock is up around 3% at this point in time. But talking about banks, the financials will be in focus. We are picking up from our sources that the officials from the Prime Minister's office are in fact meeting top bankers and senior officials from North Block today. Rituparna Bhuyan is tracking the story and joins in now with all of the details. Ritu, over to you.
This meeting that is scheduled in the Prime Minister's office is between the officials of the PMO, senior officials, as well as officials will join in, along with the top bankers from the PSU space. Basically, they will discuss the liquidity issues, especially related to NBFCs. The meeting will basically look at ways to address any liquidity if it exists in the system. That will be one feedback that will be sought from banks. And also, from what our sources have told us, DFS has been asked to quantify the kind of current liquidity that is required in the system. And PMO is likely to ask Finance Ministry to prepone the planned capital infusion of around 45,000 crore as far as PAPs are concerned. In addition, the Finance Ministry is also likely to ask the SIDBI to increase credit guarantee fund for easy availability of loan for MSMEs. Remember that there is also a MSME conclave going on today where some package will be announced for the MSME sector as well. So all these issues will be discussed with the top bankers and Finance Ministry officials at this meeting, which is scheduled in the evening.
Okay, all right, Ritu, thanks very much. We will keep an eye out on that meeting. Let's see what comes out of that. But now we are going to stay on with banks and just shift the focus to earnings today. Of course, today is a big day for the Axis Bank numbers. We'll also actually get numbers from Punjab National Bank. Abhishek is here to run us through the expectations. Abhishek, so there's a lot of hope that, like the others in the system, the worst of the asset quality issues will be behind maybe even these two banks. Let's start with Axis.
Well, to begin with, Axis analysts on street are expecting an elevated slippages from the previous quarter. So they are expecting a slippage of 5,000 to 6,000 crore versus 4,300 crore in the previous quarter. But of that 4,300 crore, only 520 crore came from the standard portfolio and the rest was from the watch list. So even in this quarter, if majority of the slippages come in from the watch list, then it will be positive because that's a known factor. The total watch list or the BB and lower rated profile is at 18,000 crore for Axis Bank. The asset quality movement will be seen very closely if they expect some kind of recovery from the NCLT cases. Gross NPA in previous quarter was at 6.8%. Loan growth expected to be at and around 12%. Last quarter it was at 14.5%. And whether the net interest margin sustains, because they just improved their net interest margin in the previous quarter, it was on a declining trend. That will be a positive factor. Our polls suggest NII growth of close to 11.5%, while on a lower base and a lower number, profit is expected to be up about 36%. Coming on to Punjab National Bank, now provisions will eat into the earnings of the bank. So bank is needed to make a provision of 5,315 crore only on account of Nirav Modi's case alone. And slippage is expected to come down on a sequential basis. Analysts are expecting slippages of 4,000 crore versus 7,300 crore in the previous quarter. Improvement in gross NPA will be positive. If at all that 18.26% actually declines, then it will be positive. Provisions will remain high on account of three key reasons. One is your Nirav Modi case. Second is your mark-to-market treasury losses. And the third is your aging of NPAs. The loan growth expected to remain tepid at around 3 to 5% level. Last quarter, it was close to 4%. Our polls suggest NII growth of just 1.1% on a YOY basis, while net loss can come in at 1,200 crore versus a net profit of 560 crore in the same quarter last year.
Okay, all right, Abhishek. Thanks very much for that. So that's on Axis and PNB. We have City Union Bank, which has come out with numbers. benign asset quality. In fact, it's an improvement in terms of the gross NPAs on a Q-on-Q basis. So just to put it into perspective, last quarter, it was absolutely flat in terms of the gross NPA at 3.02 versus 3.03. And now they've improved it to a sub 3% figure in terms of the gross NPAs. The net profit also, I think the net profit was higher by 16% this quarter for City Union Bank. In any case, the stock is reacting to that stability, which is actually coming in terms of the asset quality. As you can see, the street was expecting maybe a net profit of around 168 odd crores. So it's coming bang in line with estimates. So that's City Union Bank for you, up around 0.2%. But let's in fact talk about all of these bank stocks which would be in focus. Ashutosh Mishra, who is the senior research analyst at Reliance Securities, joins in on the phone line with his view. Ashutosh, hi, thanks very much for taking the time out. Axis Bank first, what's your expectation? And I think the street is quite optimistic after ICICI.
Yeah, so we are expecting a 973 crores of the profit from the Axis Bank in this quarter, which is slightly above the street estimate, average street estimate at this point of time. Basically, what we are saying, the strong growth in NII along with relatively lower provisioning expenses led by the lower mark-to-market provisioning on the bond portfolio, which is resulting into the relatively higher profitability for the bank in this quarter.
Your profit estimate was how much for Axis?
973.
Oh, so you're expecting a good recovery?
Yeah.
And what about slippages? What are you watching out for in terms of the more granular details on asset quality?
Yes, slippages we are expecting between 4,500 crore to 5,000 crore in this quarter.
Okay, but okay, so get that 4,000 to 5,000 crores maybe this quarter. The call on the stock, Ashutosh, as well, because along with the ICICI, some of the rub-off rally has already happened. So the stock is going into earnings with good expectations. What are your targets and what would you expect on this?
So current, we have a buy rating with a price target of 671 on Axis Bank at this point of time. So we'll revisit our numbers and the target post the conference call.
Okay. Just a little bit of color in terms of, say, Yes Bank. Do you look at that stock in particular?
Yeah, so we also have a buy rating on a Yes Bank at this point of time. So basically what had happened with the Yes Bank the last 2 days, the stock has developed quite sharply. Mainly led by many brokerage houses has come out with that they have very high exposure to the INFS, but the INFS filing says that they are not the top 5 lenders. That relief is what is driving the stock at this point of time.
What's your target price for Yes?
So for Yes Bank, we have target price of 260 at this point of time.
IndusInd Bank, they came out with their ILNFS exposure.
Yeah.
Since then, I think the street seems to be a little more sanguine that at least the details are out. What do you think about the exposure that IndusInd has?
See, sometime in a business, these type of calls goes wrong. Okay, and this is also the same case here. So that management has given a very strong performance over the years. So this call probably they have gone wrong, but the bank is still generating a quite strong profitability, and probably in the next few quarters they will take over this provision. For the parent company on the exposure, which is up to 2,000 crore rupees at this point of time. So that impact on the profitability will be there, but considering the strong growth in profitability of the banks, they will be able to take it out.
Finally, Ashutosh, there's a big PSU bank rally that's been underway as well over the last couple of days because some of the numbers actually were looking quite encouraging, better than expectations. Do you think PNB is going to continue in that same trend? And any buys on any PSU banks?
No, we have only a buy on State Bank of India and the PSU, mainly because we have downgraded, other than the SBI, all the stocks because of the merger issues, because any long-term investors will not prefer to in their stocks where there are concerns regarding the merger has emerged. And
okay.
But yes, PNB, within a whole public sector bank, PNB is a bit different because of, still they need to write off one-off case. And apart from that, there will be some other ILNFS, all other exposures. So probably this year they will still, spend their more energy towards, cleaning up the book and it's more prudent to look at the PNB from the next year story also.
You look at NBFCs?
We have only 2 NBFCs in our coverage, the Shriram Transport and HDFC Limited.
Okay. All right, Ashutosh, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. Well, the real rally within the NBFCs has to be taking place within Indiabulls Housing Finance and Divan Housing. So both those stocks have picked up around 25% on a week-to-date basis. So just look at the kind of stupendous rallies which have come into those stocks. In any case, let's get talking about the technicals of the market, because there is a stupendous rally that we're reckoning with in the entire market. Mitesh Thakkar is with us now. Mitesh, over to you then. What are you recommending on the Nifty, which is now above 10,550, and stocks?
So, good morning, Ekta. I think, in the morning I was looking at two targets of around 10,580, 10,650, and we are practically there at the first target. I never thought it will happen today itself. But this rally looks much stronger. So I think while these two targets do stand and there might be a breather around these two levels, I think eventually the Nifty over the next 1.5 weeks should be able to get past 10,650. And once it does that, I think levels of 10,760 to about 10,800 could be tested on the upside. So I think there's still more space left. A lot of sectors, a lot of stocks are still giving reversals from from extremely oversold levels, and on the intraday chart and the daily chart, they're getting past important averages, which suggests that there should be more strength to follow through. So clearly trading should be more long biased. Of course, you might not want to enter right now immediately on the indices, but I think any dips, any corrections, any consolidation would be good buying opportunities.
Okay, lots of stocks on the move, and of course oil marketing companies are really cheering what's going on today. BPCL now 6.5% on the higher side. HPCL is keeping it good company. Mitesh, now you're talking about, of course, the fact that there are lots of stocks that are participating in this rally. So, for instance, on the OMCs, can one look at an intraday trade, or are you maybe better off looking at something like a Maruti? That's also a stock on the move.
So Surabhi Maruti, I think I've recommended twice today morning, and on CNBC and on Nawaz, I think it still looks very good to me. Now clearly showing signs of a short-term low in place. Looking at 70 to 50, 7,300 is my initial target, but 7,600 can also happen over there. Coming to OMCs, I think I still like some of the stocks, and I would not recommend an intraday trade, but yeah, 2-3 day kind of a swing trade can happen. I think IOC is looking very good. It's managed to get past very important levels of 142, 143. So I think on a 2 odd rupee or 2 odd point kind of a dip around 146 would be a good buying zone. Keep a stop below 142, 157, 158 should be your first target over here. Similarly, I think BPCL also is the short-term charts are quite promising, and I think it's we have been looking at targets of around 311 over here. I think we might hit those levels, I think today or tomorrow, and once we cross that, I think the rally could extend to about 325, 330 on the upside. HPCL I'm not very clear about, so I would still stick to IOC and BPCL.
Mitesh, if you could just run us through your picks.
Yeah, I have two buy calls. The first one is a buy on Tata Steel. Keep a stop below 570, 569.5, and look for targets of 605. And HUL has come on the buy list after a long time. Keep a stop at 1620. Look for targets close to about 1675.
Okay, all right, Mitesh, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. Well, we need to take a break now, but up next we'll discuss what's buzzing in the commodity space. Manisha Gupta will be with us, and we'll get a view on crude prices from S&P Global Platts.